There was a time, you might not remember it clearly, when you showed what you felt, openly, automatically. The anger came out as anger, the hurt came out as tears, the joy was visible from across the room. And then something happened. Maybe it wasn't one thing, maybe it was a pattern, a series of moments where showing what you felt got you punished, dismissed, or used against you. Someone let another person see their excitement and watched it get weaponized. Someone cried and was told to stop making a scene. Someone reached out with the real version of what they were feeling and had it minimized, mocked, or filed away for later use. And the system, quietly, without asking permission, started building a wall between what you feel and what you show. The world looks at that wall and calls it cold, hard to read, intimidating, distant. This video isn't about what they call you, it's about what happened to make you stop showing, and what it's been costing you ever since. Here's the first thing science gets wrong about you. Psychologists call it the expressivity experience gap. In 1998, researchers Anna Kring and Anne Gordon measured what people actually feel versus what they externally show. What they found disrupts the entire narrative. Participants with low emotional expressivity, people who appeared flat, composed, or hard to read, showed the same physiological responses as their highly expressive counterparts. Same heart rate, same skin conductance, same amygdala activation. The difference existed only at the surface. The output was different. The input was identical, or in many cases, more intense. Think about what that means. The person who seems to feel the least often feels the most. The composed exterior isn't a sign of shallow emotion. It's the evidence of a system that learned, at some point and for a very real reason, that the surface is not safe. And the surface tells a particular story. Cold, hard to get close to, doesn't care. The frustration is familiar. I'm not intimidating. You just can't mind your own business. Or, not cold. I just don't give everyone access. Both of those are true, and both of them are also defenses. Because here's what's actually happening underneath that composure. Two systems running simultaneously. You feel the full physiological charge of whatever is happening, and you suppress, actively, cognitively, in real time. Researcher James Gross documented this in 2003. Habitual suppression isn't passive. It consumes measurable cognitive resources. While someone with high expressivity feels something and lets it out in a single motion, you feel it, contain it, and process it internally, all at once. Two channels running in parallel. That's why being around people drains in a way that's hard to explain. It's not that the people are the problem. It's that every interaction requires managing two systems simultaneously, the feeling and the concealing. By the end of the day, there's nothing left. And while all of this is happening internally, the world is doing something entirely predictable with your silence. The brain doesn't tolerate blanks. Research in psychological science found that even a few seconds of unexpected silence in conversation triggers anxiety responses. So the mind fills the gap. Your silence becomes a blank canvas, and people paint it with whatever they're carrying. Judgmental, doesn't like me, thinks they're better than us. People build a whole story about you before one real conversation. The projection tells you nothing about who you are. It tells you everything about what they're afraid of. But that doesn't make it not stick. If this is already landing, if you recognize the gap between what you carry and what reaches the surface, subscribe to Quiet Psychology. Because what comes next goes much deeper. Here's the part nobody talks about. The gap has a cost. Not just emotional, concrete, documented, accumulated over time. The fatigue is the first bill. Two systems, parallel, sustained across every interaction. The exhaustion that people around you dismiss as antisocial or dramatic is neurologically real. You're not tired of people. You're tired of the double processing. Then there's the external consequence. Someone described being called into their manager's office because a coworker reported feeling intimidated, despite them never exchanging a word. The silence itself became a behavioral complaint. Promotions quietly routed elsewhere. Relationships that couldn't begin because no opening ever appeared. The filter that was built to protect you also became the thing that cost you entry. But the deepest cost is the one that takes the longest to see. When a behavior goes unused long enough, the capacity begins to atrophy. Not the feeling stays. But the ability to externalize it, to let something actually reach the surface, weakens from disuse. And then the moment comes, the person who actually feels safe, the conversation where you actually want to show, and the access isn't there. Something freezes. Not because you feel nothing, because the pathway from feeling to showing has been dormant so long it doesn't know how to open. And the person across from you sees the freeze and reads it the same way everyone else did. There's a concept in sociology called the looking glass self. Charles Cooley, 1902. We form our self-concept through what we perceive others to reflect back to us. If the reflection you've received, across relationships, across years, across contexts, has consistently been cold, eventually the reflection becomes the story you carry about yourself. Not because it's accurate, because it's been repeated long enough to feel true. And here's where it gets darker. At some point, you stopped correcting them. Not as a decision, as exhaustion. And in that silence, in the growing space between what you feel and what you show, you started to inhabit the version of you they built. Not because it fits, because it's easier than fighting it every single day. You started leaning into the distance because at least distance is predictable. You stopped trying to be seen because being unseen, while painful, is less painful than being seen wrong. The coldness was never yours. It was the reflection handed back so many times that you stopped looking for a different mirror. And now the question that can't be avoided. Do you hide what you feel because you choose to, or because the last time you showed it, someone made you wish you hadn't? Here is what the investigation finds. The wall was built for a reason. That reason was real. The moments that taught you that showing costs more than it gives, those moments happened. They're in the record. The system didn't malfunction. It adapted. And for a long time, that adaptation worked. But adaptation is not destiny. The filter doesn't need to be demolished. It needs to be graduated. There's a difference between a wall that protects and a wall that has outlived the threat it was built against. The question isn't whether you should show more, it's whether the filter is still reading the room accurately. Because a filter calibrated to a specific relationship, a specific era of your life, a specific cost, is being applied to every room you walk into now, including rooms with different people. Different evidence, different outcomes. If someone in your past taught you that showing is dangerous, that lesson was real. But the classroom has changed. Not everyone will use what you show against you. You won't know until the filter learns to tell the difference. At some point, something will need to come through. Not everything, not for everyone. Just enough to test whether the wall is still protection, or whether it became the thing keeping the right people out. And if you care about someone who seems unreachable, what you're seeing is not the absence of feeling. It's the presence of a system that learned that feeling openly costs more than it gives. You won't reach them by asking them to open up. You'll reach them by becoming the evidence that showing won't cost what it cost before. By staying when the wall is up. By not reading silence as rejection. By proving, slowly and without announcement, that being seen here won't be punished. There's a glass between you and the world. From your side, transparent. You see everything, feel everything, every nuance, every shift in tone, every unspoken thing. The world is vivid from where you stand. From their side, reflective. They look at you and see their own assumptions mirrored back, cold, intense, doesn't care. They're not seeing you, they're seeing themselves. You've been behind a one-way mirror your whole life, feeling everything, showing nothing, and one-way mirrors only work when one side is kept darker than the other. The reason they can't see in is because your side has been kept in the dark, not by them, by every moment you dimmed yourself to avoid being seen wrong, by every time you pulled the feeling back before it could reach the surface, by every year you chose the safety of the wall over the risk of the window. The glass doesn't need to break. It just needs light on both sides. And the moment you let even a fraction of what you feel reach the surface, the mirror stops being one way. They'll see you, not the projection, not the coldness they decided was yours. You, not because you performed it, because you let the light in.